Guys, happy Monday. Happy Halloween to everyone out there. A great day. My man, Grant Dawson, is joining me. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Thank you for
Doing
having me
good,
on the show again.
man. Always a pleasure. Always love talking to you. And it's been crazy lately. How much, fiance, soon to be wife, on the show every week with Ben and Bananas. And we've done lunch a couple times now. It's a different time. I remember watching your Contender Series fight and be like, ooh, okay. Like we got someone here. And now just, our relationship and our communication builds. It's crazy time, man. But are you a Halloween guy? Let's ask that first and foremost.
Yeah, I'm not really, I don't really celebrate a whole lot of holidays. I don't really celebrate my birthday. Christmas was a big one in my family, more so for religious reasons. And I guess I like Halloween time because fall is my favorite weather.
Yeah.
My favorite season. Sound like a moron there. But now that I live in Florida, it really doesn't change much. It's just sunny and nice all the time. So I don't really get that fall weather anymore. So that's kind of sad. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm glad everybody's having a good day here. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And it gets a lot different when the kids come around, man. Like I was always decent on Halloween, but now the kids are so into it and they love dressing up, and now the girls are dressing up. Of course, the dad and my wife, we have to dress up something with them. So it's a different ball game. But my man, it's fight week for you, brother. It's crazy times. I have to ask you that generic question because I even saw a couple of your things that you put out there already, and we've talked some stuff off air. A crazy little fight camp, right? Kind of let me ask that question first, and then the more questions we'll leave from it. How was it to have this fight camp, Grant, with a date kind of in permanent black marker in mind, but not really an opponent or multiple opponents in, out, in, out? You really don't know. Was that different? Was that something unique and different? And did you like it or did you not like it as much, maybe?
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating while it was happening because I didn't know if I was going to be able to fight. Because like you said, I'm getting married on the 20th of November. So 2 weeks after my fight, I'm getting married. I've got to pay for this. I've got to I got bills and dogs to feed. So it's like, it was very stressful during the process. But once I got a fight in line and okay, you got 2 weeks to prepare for this guy. It was kind of nice because it was kind of like I've been in camp. I've been preparing for people. And then it's just kind of like, okay, it's this guy. We're in shape. We're ready to go. We're going to make weight. Let's just go out there and fight. I think Mark Madsen is a very, very tough opponent. I think he's a very, very big step up for me and a big name for me to win against. And I definitely think the winner of this fight gets ranked. However, before Mark Madsen, we were getting ready for Gregor Gillespie, another good wrestler. So I think that kind of plays to my benefit in the sense that, okay, really I've had 4 weeks to get ready for an orthodox wrestler.
Right. And I heard something that you said earlier on one of your, interviews, how you were saying like you're a competitor. At the end of the day, where you were born a competitor, you were a competitor in high school, college, and now, and so is, of course, Madsen with the silver medalists and all that nature. Just you guys are competing. There's been numerous of different names, and we don't have to go down and bracket each name in and out. And lefties, there's a really great Brazilian that you were maybe going to fight, a high-end big guy. So there are a lot of different names. But at the end of the day, you guys in 6 days are going to lock yourself in a cage, and you're going to compete. And the winner, like you said, will be ranked. Both of you guys have never lost in the UFC. Like, this is to me, a really high-end UFC lightweight matchup. This is a great fight.
Absolutely. What I keep telling people is this is not a grappler versus a grappler. This is a competitor versus a competitor. He's an Olympic silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. He's been winning competitions his entire life.
Right.
I've been winning competitions my entire life. This isn't wrestler versus wrestler, striker versus wrestler, any of that. This is competitor versus competitor, and whoever wins this fight is going to be the better competitor. It's not going to come down to who's got better wrestling, who's got better striking, or who's got better conditioning. It's going to come down to who the better competitor is.
This is another Apex fight. You fought there multiple times. We just saw UFC 280. I do want to ask you one question on that before we go. The crowd was crazy and a lot of stuff in and out. Are you itching? Are you kind of like, I've done this Apex numerous of times. Are you itching to do one of these, even out of the country cards, like the London cards are bananas, a New York City card? Are you itching to do something like that in the near future?
I don't really know, honestly. I haven't front of a crowd since 2019. I fought Derek Minner, who's on the card with me, by the way.
There you go.
So I honestly don't know. I think there's part of it that there's pros and cons. You know, your energy is a little bit better with a crowd because everybody's going crazy, but it's harder to hear your coaches. It's harder to get into that like Zen mode or whatever.
Right.
There's pros and cons. I'm a competitor. I'm going to compete no matter if there's 10 people there or 10,000 people there. I'm here to fight. And once you start fighting, it kind of just is all background noise anyway.
Gotcha. You know, we talked about it. 18-1-1, you know, undefeated in the UFC. Madsen's 12-0. He's undefeated in the UFC, high-end match. And kind of like the question, or kind of just a more of a conversational thing, is, you know, mixed martial arts, to me, of course, you're at a camp and you train and all of that nature, but at the end of the day, you lock yourself in a cage. It's 1 versus 1. And it's wild to me that you're, you know, the wedding on the way, and you mentioned the dogs and you mentioned bills of all that nature. You don't succeed. You don't make money unless another human being, weighing 155 pounds, signs the contract accepting a fight against you. Is it a little bit wild, or is that one of the most frustrating parts about this fight game, that you have to depend on someone else saying yes, because you have goals and you have aspirations in your own? Like, you're not just going to fight the 86 guy, maybe Forte, maybe you will, but like, you want to be world champion. I know this about you. Like, is that a little bit frustrating that you have to depend on one of these, you know, and you mentioned a couple names back then, and this is Madsen said yes to accept the fight?
Yeah, man. In other sports, that's kind of what's unique about our sport. In other sports, like, you have to play other teams. You know, you don't get to choose your lineup. You have a schedule, and then even in wrestling, like, that's 1v1, but it's like you go to the tournaments and they match you up, and then you just go out and you wrestle. And if you have a disagreement with where you should be seated, you get to go out there and decide if you were right or wrong. So it is kind of annoying because especially in my weight class, there's so many people. So it's very easy for people to say no to fights. I've said no to fights before because of timing and this isn't right. And, you know, I'm not ready to fight like here, and I'm not getting paid enough for this. And I get it. And I'm for people doing what's best for their career. But once it comes down to a certain point, like, we got to be promised fights here. You know, if it was between me not getting the fight that they wanted and not fighting this year, even though I was saying yes to everybody, I think they should have signed somebody to fight me, because they can find a nobody that would fight me to get signed to the UFC. Like, I've got bills to pay. I've got dogs to take care of, and a soon to be wife to spoil. So, you know, find me fights, man, especially in our weight class. There's so many people. You can find somebody, and they found somebody, and I think it's going to get me ranked after. And I definitely think that 2023 is going to be a lot easier of a year than 2022.
Absolutely. And, you know, we'll mention like your future wife here in a second again. But Mark Madsen, this is like, I can't express this enough. I think how good this fight is. Both of you guys, after this fight, I can foresee going on another 3-4 fight win streak, even in that 10 through 17, 18 range. This is such a great fight. Hopefully, guys, UFC Vegas 64, Saturday night, ESPN. All right, let's mention Elle just had a contest a couple weeks ago. She's underneath this Fight Bananas banner. We absolutely love and adore her. She's doing Bet and Bananas. And Saturday, she took over a little bit of the Instagram for us. And you and Tiago Moises are there, and you're watching the fights. And I talked to Elle about this a little bit. What was it for you that the UFC Lightweight Championship is on the line? I thought the promotion did an amazing job promoting Oliveira and Makhachev, the embeddeds, it just seems so grand. Like, this was a huge night. It was all about the UFC lightweight division. Even the Gamrot and Benny DeRouche was huge. Just a magical moment. And then not even that, not even about the promotion, about putting those two guys up on a pedestal. But now Makhachev won. Afterwards, you're like, all right, that's the guy. Like, Dave, your goal is 2023, maybe 2024 this spring. If you win 3-4 more in a row, there's not a lot of guys in front of you, and some of those guys will fall out, of course. How was it watching UFC 280 and now Makhachev? Is he, is he the calendar? Is he like the Rocky Drago? You ripping his picture down? Is that kind of what happening?
Well, I definitely think you're running into a situation where the division has to step up their game because of how good Makhachev is and how good Khabib was. When Khabib was out there and people knew about him, they started upping their game because they knew that this guy was going to be a world champion. And then he became world champion and was kind of seen as this unbeatable Russian that just could not lose a round even. And so I feel like the division has definitely upped a bunch since he's left. Even the guys that he fought are a lot better than they were when they fought him because they're upping their level. They're training harder. They're training smarter. They're getting better training partners. And they're just learning as they go. So I think we're going to run into a situation like we had with Demetrius Johnson, where it was just, hey, nobody's going to beat Demetrius Johnson. And then finally you had guys like Henry Cejudo come up and be like, nah, like I'm going to up my level and I'm going to beat this guy. And then he ends up doing it. I definitely think that any man can beat anybody on any given night. So I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me. But Islam Makhachev right now is the end goal.
So in that story, you're the better looking, taller Henry Cejudo.
Yes, much better looking and hopefully much less annoying.
Definitely. I think that's definitely checked with the permanent black marker. Two last things for you, my man. Appreciate your time. I know it's fight week, big week for you. Cannot wait to watch this fight. One Star Wars question and then one podcasty kind of a question. Let's go with Star Wars. I know you're a huge fan of it. We've always talked about it at the time on air and off air. The last time we talked, a lot of the other shows, I think with Mandalorian 2 was ending and Boba Fett, and then Obi-Wan was just starting. It was actually, I think we talked about it was a little slow. The end of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus, those last 2-3 episodes were incredible. Some of the great, to me, Star Wars content ever. Did you think that as well? How much did you like the end of it? I know Andor just came out. Where are you at on the Disney Plus Star Wars relationship?
Man, I'm going to tell you one great episode does not make a good show. And
True.
I was very, very disappointed with Obi-Wan. I felt like they weren't true to the character. I felt like the writing was a bit confusing, and I feel like they used the Force as kind of a cop-out. Anytime there's a problem, it's like, well, this is the Force, and it's like that's not how that works. The last episode was incredible. The last episode saved the entire show, in my opinion. And if they had done more episodes like that, it would have been something that was even better than The Mandalorian. The thing that makes The Mandalorian so good is you can jump on any single episode of The Mandalorian and it's incredible. It's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10, including a great season finale in both seasons. So that's what made The Mandalorian so good. That's what made the Book of Boba Fett so good. And I think part of it is with how hyped the Obi-Wan series was, there was no way it was ever going to live up to what people were expecting. So you got to kind of give it a little bit of a leeway for that. But I was not. We could go into this for hours. I did not like the villain at all. I did not like her character. I did not like her story. I did not like.
Great point. I actually just had a 15-minute conversation about that. It's so funny you bring that up. It was such a almost not needed spot like you could have just,
dude. It's why does she think that Obi-Wan is still alive? They don't tell us. Why does she so passionate about finding this and like doesn't tell us? Why can she not use the Force to read the mind of a child? They don't tell us. Like there's just so much stuff that is like it just doesn't make any sense. Also, she gets stabbed in the gut twice.
Yeah.
And
Vader! By Vader!
And doesn't die. And Inquisitor gets stabbed in the gut and doesn't die. Like, do you just not need your spinal cord? Is that what technology is great there, but what? And then she just gets up and walks away. Like, and it just not to mention I hate the idea of like, this is a new character. She's a bad guy. Everybody hates her. And then at the end, it's like, well, she wasn't really a bad guy. She was just doing bad things for the right reason. I hate that. It's such a cop out. It is such, because like you go back to like the people that she's gotten killed and you're like, I'm supposed to root for this character.
Right.
I hate it. Now, if they have like a I know I'm going into this too deep, but if they have a mid-season like coming to Jesus where it's like, I've done bad things and I regret these bad things and I want to make myself better. Like Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. That works. But if it's just like no, I was a good guy the whole time and I just did what I had to do to get the fuck out of here. Like, no, you're done. That's just lazy writing.
Yeah.
And I'm over it, man. And I really hope that they don't do this to my other shows. I am going to watch the stories of what's it called? The Jedi story, the Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, the Tales of the Jedi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's on our list tonight. Me and Elle are going to watch that tonight. And I've heard really good things about that, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, let me know about it. Let me know about it. I hope other MMA media members watch this and like, you know, I've watched one thing. Like, guys, stop asking Grant about you know, American Top Team. Stop asking Grant about his opponent. Just talk Star Wars with him. Just talk shop, you know.
Dude, I've been more emotional about this last question than any other question that you've asked me.
I know.
Like, not to mention, like, I enjoy talking about MMA. I could talk about MMA all day, but everybody asks the exact same 5 questions over and over and over and over and over. Talk to me about Star Wars, man. We'll talk all day, bro.
I know. Let's go. Last thing for you, my man. You know, like I said, Elle's killing it for us. Soon to be wife in a couple weeks. And, you know, and I know you and Tiago have a great relationship and you guys are maybe talking about something and doing something. How important is it for you? And how important do you think it is even for the sport? You see a lot of guys like Aljamain Sterling is huge on his YouTube channel. Sean O'Malley does more Twitch and YouTube and stuff for his brand and podcast. It's like literally 25% of his brand and his persona. How important do you think podcasting and shows and kind of getting content of your stuff, a brand of yourself going forward for Grant Dawson in 2023, 2024?
I think it's huge. And it's definitely something that Elle and I have talked about working on and being better at. I'm so bad about social media and she's so bad about social media. And part of it is we just enjoy the time that we spend together and we enjoy the time that we spend with our friends. So we're not thinking like, oh, we should post about this. And it's also just everyday life for us. Like we don't, like it's not new to us. It's not different to us. It's not like unique to us. And we got to remember that we're not posting it for us. We're posting it so that people that don't live our lives can kind of see what we're doing. And it's definitely really, really important. And I'm trying to get better at it. Dave, I'm just terrible at it. I gotta say, I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at it. I'll be good about it for a couple of weeks. I'll be posting. And then I just feel like I'm posting the same stuff over and over and over and over because I do the same stuff over and over.
Right. But like you said, I think you actually did nail it right there, Grant. It's like, it's not even for you. It is for, you know, I hate to say this and it sounds so, you know, cruel or, you know, Henry Cejudo saying that it's kind of for your fans. Like you do want people to react to you and kind of follow you and get into you. And I'm telling you, like, I know it sounds, if you did like this Star Wars thing, I'll cut up and I'll post it as a video. Like if you let that out of you, I think people, there's a, you know, I don't have to tell you that there's millions and billions of people that feel the same way that you do about Star Wars. Like, wow, I didn't know like Grant was so into this and so passionate about this. Like you might, you know, that might just kind of, you know, it's the Star Wars guy. It's, you know, it's Luke versus Makhachev 2024. Like that's what
you're 100% right. You're 100% right. It's just like one of those things where it's like, I think, you know what I think it is? I think these guys that you have mentioned, like I'm just going to use Sean O'Malley for an example. Sean O'Malley went from having no followers to having millions of followers.
Right.
Patty Pimblett went from having no followers to having millions of followers. That didn't happen to me. I went from like no followers to a couple thousand followers. Then, you know, 10,000 followers, which was really cool for me. And now I'm at like 18,000 followers. So to me, nothing has changed. There hasn't been this huge like, oh my God, I'm a superstar now. And everybody wants to know what I have this. I'm still just that kid from Nebraska that's chasing a dream with his hot ass wife. Like it's too gradual, I guess. Like, it's like, oh, I don't really have that many fans. I don't have 4.5 million fans like Sean O'Malley or Patty Pimblett. So it's like, they don't really give a shit what I'm doing. But in reality, they do. And I need to like, that's how you grow it. I get it. You're preaching to the choir. The choir just ain't listening.
I love it, man. Guys, Grant Dawson fighting Saturday versus undefeated Mark Madsen. You know, cannot wait. 15 minutes of absolute craziness or 30 seconds of domination. We will see Saturday. My man, any last words, any last things? I saw that you even posted a video. Oh, how cool was it? You sign it and you're like, hey, Mom, we made it. How cool, man. The 12-year-old Grant Dawson, would you ever think you'd be signing a baseball card of yourself to give out to the people? How cool is that, brother?
It's incredible, dude. And like when I was growing up, they didn't have MMA fighters as cards, like trading cards. And if there were, they weren't valuable at all. Nobody cared about them. I get so many people tagging me in posts. I love it. I get mail, people sending me letters and the cards for me to sign. And I absolutely love it. It's so crazy. And I really meant what I said when I was like, Mom, we did it, you know. So much farther to go still, but dang it, Mom, we did it.
There we go. Another step Saturday night. Like I said, Grant, huge fan of you as the fighter, a bigger fan of you as the person, huge fan of that family down there in South Florida. Grant, man, talk to you soon. I'll talk to you after your win Saturday night, all right?
Hey, let's talk more Star Wars after my win. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, you know this, man. I'm telling you, anytime you want to come, the Star Wars bananas, you know what I mean? We can make something happen.
Let's do it. Let's shoot a whole episode just Star Wars. Me and you chalking up Star Wars. I'm down. Let's do it.
Over sushi.
I'm in. Let's go.
Later, brother. Have a good one, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.